Chapter 89, 5th year, the week before. Friday, April 23rd, 1976.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lupin.
Professor McGonagall smiled as he entered her office.
Good afternoon, Professor.
He replied politely, sitting on the chair opposite her desk.
All ready for your exams?
I think so.
I have every faith in you.
She smiled. McGonagall's smile was given only when she felt the situation deserved it. For this reason, Remus smiled back. The middle-aged witch looked down at a pile of parchment smoothed out before her. Notes from his other professors, perhaps. She cleared her throat, looked up, and smiled again.
You have received consistently strong results during your time at Hogwarts.
Not the whole time,
he murmured, thinking of those wasted months in first year.
You are a prefect,
McGonagall continued.
A generally well-behaved, thoughtful young man. You seem to excel in your charm work and history, and I hear you have even gathered some pupils of your own.
I just don't mind helping out,
he explained, embarrassed.
If people get stuck.
An admirable quality, Mr. Lupin.
Thanks.
So,
she said briskly,
with all of these good things in mind, have you given any thought to a career to pursue once you have completed your education?
He was nervous, he realized. More nervous than he expected to be. He rubbed his damp palms on his trouser legs and tried to make eye contact.
I'll have to register myself, with the ministry.
He saw her purse her lips, but she didn't interrupt.
And, I don't know much about it. Not as much as I ought to, maybe, but... the war.
What about the war, Lupin?
She snapped.
Well, people, wizards, they don't want someone like me, with my problems, to have jobs at all, so I thought...
We cannot submit to others' low expectations of us, Lupin. You have done great things at Hogwarts, and I have no doubt you are capable of greater things still.
Maybe.
He shrugged.
But I won't get the chance unless I get involved, I suppose.
Get involved?
Any trace of kindness or encouragement had left her face.
Yeah.
Mr. Lupin.
McGonagall's brow furrowed. She looked tired, as though she'd been working on a difficult problem all day.
You know that I have already spoken with Mr. Black about his own plans.
Yeah.
Remus wasn't sure what that had to do with anything.
And I'm sure you can imagine exactly what Mr. Black's plans are.
I could guess.
He didn't need to guess. They had all discussed it last night, all four of them on James's bed. James had always been the head of the group, the leader. His innate goodness, his confidence, and his easygoing demeanour had ensured this from their very first meeting on the Hogwarts Express. But now, to Remus at least, he seemed to have taken on a new dimension of wise heroism in his decision to join Dumbledore and pit himself against Voldemort. If James was doing it, then they were all pretty sure it was the right thing to do. Sirius had spoken at length, and with some emotion, about his own desire to beat them. Remus had the impression that Sirius didn't see the war as political, so much as extremely personal. Voldemort might as well have been his mother, or his father. Peter was always excited to begin a new venture, and Remus had to admit that he was impressed. Wormtail was usually the first to point out the risks in such a plan, but James made it all seem so easy, so simple. As for Remus, there was never any question. He had no other options, as far as he could see it, and the least to lose out of all of them. The three boys he shared a room with had been his primary concern for the past 5 years, and he saw no reason for this to change when they left school, and he couldn't deny, even to himself, that staying close to Dumbledore seemed the most likely route to Greyback. He said none of this to McGonagall, of course. The professor removed her spectacles, rubbed her eyes, and covered her face with her hands. She sighed, and the sound struck Remus in a painful way, in the pit of his stomach. He had disappointed her.
Mr. Lupin, I have interviews with Mr. Potter and Mr. Pettigrew later this afternoon. Am I to assume that I will hear the same things from them? Don't any of you have any career ambitions beyond this dreadful war?
Remus shrugged, looked at his feet. She wouldn't change his mind.
There'll be time for that.
He mumbled,
afterwards.
She lowered her hands, replaced her glasses, and looked at him. Her eyes were rimmed red, slightly puffy. She wasn't giving him her famous look, trying to unnerve him into giving the right answer. The expression she wore was something different entirely, one that didn't suit her at all. He didn't like it.
I didn't become a teacher for this,
she said very quietly, her voice strained. He didn't know what to say to that. He felt sorry, but he didn't want to say so, in case she pounced on this as an avenue to dissuading him.
I think Peter wants to do something at the ministry,
he offered
afterwards.
Well, that's a start at least.
McGonagall smiled tightly and reshuffled her papers.
Now, Mr. Lupin, let's talk about NEWTS, shall we?
Thursday, May 14th, 1976. Shakily, Remus made his way to the very top of the Quidditch stands. He found his friends, Lily, Mary, Peter and Desdemona, waiting excitedly as the crowd began to cheer. He sat next to Desdemona, who was wearing Peter's red and gold scarf.
Hi, Desi.
Remus smiled and gave a little wave.
Are you cold?
I'm trying to blend in.
She giggled.
Petey thought they wouldn't let a Ravenclaw sit here.
Oh.
Should you be here, Moony?
Peter asked, watching the players walk out onto the pitch with a pair of binoculars.
Feeling okay?
Oh no, have you been ill again, Remus?
Desdemona clucked sympathetically.
Oh, Remus was just,
Peter stammered, realizing his mistake.
Out by the greenhouses,
Remus said, blandly.
I'm stoned out of my mind.
He was stone-cold sober, but Desdemona was an innocent sort of girl.
Okay.
She smiled politely, but inched away from him, slightly. He had slipped out while Madame Pomfrey was in her office. He felt bad about it, and would apologise later, but he had to see his friends play. They would do the same for him. It was Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff today, and the crowd braying opposite was decked out in glorious sunshine yellow. It had rained in the night. Remus knew this because he had woken up with wet hair and feet, and the skies were a clear spring blue. Knowing that James would see this as a very good omen, Remus smiled to himself and cheered along with his friends. It was a good game, a great one for Sirius, who was in particularly good form. He never missed a bludger, and at one point made an impressive swing right in the nick of time to save the third Gryffindor chaser, leaning so far over that Remus was sure he would topple to the ground.
There's not going to be another party if we win, is there?
Lily said over the cheers as James scored his 5th goal.
I don't think we can cope with another one this close to exams.
Not if James has anything to do with it.
Remus said.
He won't want to throw away the hours he's been putting in at the library.
Library?
Yeah, he's been there every day almost.
Peter filled in.
Revising his bloody arse off. He's even more of a swot than Moony these days.
I don't believe you.
Lily raised an eyebrow.
Believe it.
Remus laughed.
He's even enforced dorm room rules so he can get enough sleep between exams. We have to be completely silent after 8 o'clock.
Another cheer went up. The 6th goal for James, 12th overall for Gryffindor.
Ha!
Peter roared.
They'll never catch up now.
Gryffindor won, of course. Remus wasn't sure if James had yet lost a game. As soon as the final whistle had been blown, all of the Gryffindor students poured down onto the pitch to congratulate their team. Mary was at the head of this, having run down a few minutes ahead of everyone else. Remus, as ever, was behind. He didn't usually mind, but with the moon so close behind him, he was still pretty sore, and his limp more pronounced than usual. It was probably better if he waited for everyone else to get down, he thought, less people to notice him struggling. Madame Pomfrey had once or twice suggested a walking stick for when his hip was very bad, but he wouldn't hear of it. Remus was almost all the way down the rickety wooden steps and could see James and Sirius at the centre of a red-robed mob on the Quidditch pitch. James looked up and waved at him, and Sirius caught on, waving too. Remus grinned widely, hoping they could see it, and stuck a thumb up by way of congratulations. As he did so, something very sharp and hot stung his ankle, just as he'd raised it to descend another step. With a yelp of surprise and pain, Remus tumbled forward, losing his balance completely and clattering down the rest of the stairs, landing in a heap at the bottom. Ow, he thought.
Fuck,
he said, pushing up with sore, splintered hands and trying to get to his knees, at least. The problem with being so lanky, he thought, was that there was more of you to get knocked. Dazed and confused, he was grateful that most of the crowd had their backs turned to him. He must have fallen at least 8 steps down. Then he heard it, the muffled giggling. He turned, pain shooting up his left side as he did so, and saw 3 faces hiding underneath the wooden scaffolding. It was Mulciber, Barty Crouch, and Snape.
Oopsie daisy!
Crouch cackled, showing rows of sharp white teeth, a little too small for his mouth.
Poor ickle Lupin.
He was fiddling with something small and metal.
Tossers,
Remus muttered, righting himself, hauling his body up as quickly as possible. He fumbled in his trouser pocket for his wand, praying it hadn't been broken. No, it was fine. He withdrew it and pointed it between the gaps in the steps.
What did you do?
Don't blame us for your clumsiness, loony Lupin.
Snape said coolly, stepping backwards into the shadows.
And get that wand out of my face before I report you for drawing on unarmed students.
Unarmed my arse.
Remus growled, still aiming his wand.
Expelliarmus.
But nothing happened. They really were unarmed.
What did I tell you, gentlemen?
Snape sneered at his cronies.
Loony Lupin is dangerously mad. Emphasis on the danger.
Crouch was beside himself now, giggling manically as he tossed the little metal token between his hands, like some weird juggling act. Was it a sickle? No, Remus could smell it now, even as they were backing away. It must be a prefect's pin, a silver one.
Oi!
He yelled suddenly, but they just laughed and kept walking. By the time James and Sirius, who had seen Remus stumble, but not much else, reached him, the 3 Slytherins were gone.
Bloody hell, you okay, Moony?
James asked, helping him straighten up, offering an arm.
Fine, yeah. Must have tripped. Stupid long legs, eh?
Remus tried to smile. Sirius was there, and he refused to mention any kind of Slytherin attack with Sirius around. He was too unstable, too reckless these days. The hot, angry itch in his ankle was driving him mad. He hoped Murtlap Essence helped that too. Bloody Snape. What had he done that for? None of the 3 who'd attacked him were prefects, so where did they get the badge? And more specifically, why the bloody badge? The girls had arrived at the scene now and were making a fuss, telling Remus to sit down and take deep breaths, asking whether this or that hurt. It was no good saying that nothing hurt, after he'd just fallen headfirst down a flight of stairs, and it was no good saying that everything hurt, but that he'd had much worse. And all the while his mind kept going back to the sting in his ankle and the words Severus had used. Dangerous. What did he know? Or what did he think he knew?
Remus, you really are awfully pale.
Lily was saying. Marlene placed a hand on his forehead, and he batted her away, irritated.
I'm fine,
he said.
All right, give him some air for Merlin's sake.
Sirius, who had up until now said nothing at all, suddenly burst out, pushing them all out of the way. Remus looked up, squinting through a few locks of stray hair to see Sirius with his determined face on. He put his hands on his hips, in a very good imitation of James delegating jobs for a prank.
You lot go to the changing rooms, or the Great Hall, or wherever you're supposed to be. Moony, come on, let's go back to the castle. We'll go by the hospital wing. Prongs, you'll take my broom back.
Remus almost opened his mouth to protest. He couldn't possibly go to the hospital wing, which he'd only escaped a few hours ago. Madame Pomfrey would never let him leave again once she saw the mess he'd got himself into against her orders. But Sirius was offering him a way out, so he took it. He accepted the offer of Sirius's arm and got up, stiffly. Ow, he thought again. He'd badly bruised one of his knees, and his hip was worse than ever. He staggered slightly, but Sirius allowed him to lean into him. He was still in his crimson Quidditch robes, trimmed with gold, though he'd taken off the helmet, his hair coming loose from its ponytail. He smelled mildly of perspiration, fresh air and grass.
I'll come too,
Mary chirped, getting up. She was taking her position as Queen Consort of Gryffindor very seriously.
No, it's fine,
Sirius said, firmly but kindly.
We don't need a big fuss, do we, Moony? Come on.
He gave Mary a quick peck on the cheek before leading Remus down the last few steps and off the Quidditch pitch back towards the castle. Remus pulled away as soon as he thought he could walk unassisted, and Sirius let him, but kept a steady pace so that it would take them a long time to get back.
We don't have to go and see Pomfrey if you think you're okay,
he said quickly.
I just thought you'd like to get away from that lot.
Yeah. Cheers.
Remus nodded, cautious.
I know you hate people worrying over you.
Yeah.
Moony? How did you actually fall? You never fall over, even after a moon.
Oh, I don't know. Wasn't looking where I was going.
Sirius seemed to accept this for now, and they kept walking. It must have taken almost half an hour for them to make it all the way up to Gryffindor Tower. Sometimes Remus wished he was a Hufflepuff, if only for accessibility purposes. Finally there, Remus collapsed onto his bed, aching all over and completely exhausted. He hated being that way in front of Sirius. He didn't want to show any sign of weakness.
I'm just going to have a shower, if that's okay,
Sirius said quietly. Remus nodded, closing his eyes. Once the bathroom door clicked shut, he fumbled in his bedside table for the Murtlap essence. He'd need more after the next moon, though this jar had lasted longer than any other he'd had, thanks to the marauders. He raised his trouser leg and found the pinprick. Bastards. It was angry red and raised, slightly, like a mosquito bite. The skin around the puncture was turning deep bruise purple. The Murtlap essence didn't help at all, definitely silver then. Remus lay down and tried to ignore the pain, allowing his muscles to relax and sleep to take over. He was still lying in this dozy, slightly feverish state when Sirius emerged from the bathroom, a waft of muggy steam and faint aftershave.
Are you sleeping?
He whispered, so gently.
Almost.
Remus murmured, opening his eyes just a bit. Sirius drew the curtains closed, dimming the light in the room. He stood just by Remus's bed. He picked up the jar of Murtlap essence.
What's this for? Cut yourself?
No.
Moony, please tell me what happened. It obviously wasn't an accident.
Sirius frowned.
Don't you trust me?
Of course I trust you.
Remus frowned back.
Look, I don't need you going out for revenge, okay? It's stupid, and it'll blow over.
Who?
3 Slytherins. They tripped me, yanked my foot through the stairs, that's all. Cowardly gits.
Best not to mention the silver.
Which Slytherins?
Sirius's voice was hard.
Not Regulus.
Remus replied hurriedly.
Snape, obviously. Mulciber and Crouch. Sirius.
He said, as sternly as he could muster.
I'm fine, okay? Please don't make it worse.
I won't,
Sirius said, though he sounded uncertain. They were quiet for a bit. Remus closed his eyes again, his eyelids heavy.
Shall I leave you to sleep?
Sirius asked, his voice gentle again.
Yeah, cheers.
Remus murmured, relaxing again.
I'm knackered too,
Sirius said lightly, with half a laugh.
After that match. Sort of jealous of you for having the excuse. Almost wish I could just lie down here with you and not get up again until tomorrow.
Remus opened his eyes again to check Sirius's face, but he was looking away.
Better get down for the feast, though. Can't miss James's victory speech.
Don't go near the Slytherins,
Remus said.
Promise.
Promise.
Sirius nodded. He left the room shortly after that, and Remus fell asleep feeling satisfied that no matter how much Sirius hated Slytherin, he would never do anything so reckless that Remus could not forgive him it.